Hi everyone, my name is Eric and I'm the developer of an upcoming action platforming game called GB Rover, which is a game about shooting your bosses and fighting for a better world. You can wishlist the game on Steam right now and I would very much appreciate it if you would do so, because, you know, like wishlists and buying games and all that. And anyway, that's kind of like what I would like you to do, and let's maybe talk about how the past week has been in terms of making this game. First of all, people who might follow these videos, like 2 or 3 people who might do that, might have realized that it's been a bit longer since the last update. I usually do these every Monday, and the reason why I'm doing this now on a Wednesday is because I took a bit of a break again between Monday and Tuesday, because it was a bit exhausting over the weekend. I kind of realized, and I think if you watch the development stream on Sunday, I think I also said it there, that I should take a break because I've been working basically the whole week, and also like Saturday and Sunday, and it's not a very healthy thing to do. So I ran into some problems on Sunday night when I couldn't fall asleep and was so just like, I don't know, full of nervous energy that I had to go on a 30-minute walk at 1:30 a.m. in the night because I just couldn't sleep and had so much pent-up energy. And I already had like previously, in the evening, I already did about 9 to 10 kilometer long walk. So I already had did a bunch of stuff, and it was still not enough. So I had to do that. Had a bit of trouble sleeping. Wasn't feeling all that great also on Monday in general. Also yesterday for most of the day, and it kind of put a bit of a stop to it. I think it has a few reasons why I had this. There's also other things happening, but anyway, let's talk about the process and then go about how things are going and how things are. So last week, what I had planned was to finish the marketing preparations, build a plan about what to post, on which day, up until release, which. Let's talk about what I did at a later point. I wanted to create lore pages for each level and each boss fight, and I wanted to make a list of people, different lists for different purposes. People who covered Splinter Zone in the past, people streamers I would like to contact, a list of Steam curators I want to contact, a more specific press list and all that. And in terms of what I did this week, I actually managed to put the lore pages in the game, and it's really I had a lot of fun making those, and it's a great time, and I really like what they add to it. I also, in the process of that, added a bunch of more things to that one boss fight I redid. And it's now very nice to play. I'm very, very happy in the state that it's in now. I also did a playthrough last week where I played through the whole game with the enemies do 3 times as much damage setting on, just to see if it's now possible, because when I did that a few months ago, I basically was stonewalled by that boss that I reworked, because it was almost impossible to get past him. It was possible now. I actually managed to beat him in that playthrough without getting hit once. So that's also a good sign that you're able to defeat a boss without taking damage. So you know that the patterns that he has and the way he attacks is something that you can learn and can adjust to. So I did that. All of that stuff. I did make a bunch of lists that I set out. I haven't done the streamer list so far. I still have to do that. But yeah, I had to do that. I prepared more stages for the endless attack mode because, and now we get to the next point, because I picked a strict release date and realized that I do have enough time to, like, where it seems very likely that I can manage to get the endless attack mode into the game before it's out. So what happened was last week, and I'm going to talk about the last point as well. Last week I wanted to adjust the release date for GB Rover within Steam's backend. You can set a release date there, and like the release date you set in Steam's backend kind of defines in where it shows up on the store page. The release date I had until last week was something around April 22nd, 2022 or 2023. So like very far in the past, just to give myself like enough room to make adjustments to as to when I actually want to release the game. And I realized last week that I could actually now pick a strict release date because I had the plan all written down and set out. And on that day, when I went into the Steam backend to do that, I saw a message on the sidebar saying, "Oh yeah, there's a Steam Next Festival coming up, this thing that Steam does I think 3 to 4 times a year, where you can show off your game, have a demo when it's not released yet, and have people play it and get a bunch of more eyeballs on it." And the Steam Next Fest, the upcoming one, which I'm not going to say the dates because I don't think that they're public, and I have no idea how much this is confidential bullshit, sales dates. So, but the date for the upcoming Steam Next Fest was very close to my original release date. My original release date was before the Steam Next Fest, and I thought, okay, if I push GB Rover's release date a few weeks back, I could take the take the Steam Next Fest with it and release it shortly afterwards. This does push GB Rover's release date into October, which I didn't really like, because November is always the time where all the big games usually get released, and if you're making a small game, it definitely gets buried. It's at least my impression. Usually it's not really based on data in any form, but just from my observations and anecdotal stuff, it very much seems releasing an indie game in August or September is usually the better idea. And that's where I originally I wanted to release GB Rover on Friday, August the 13th, because I like Friday the 13th as a release date, but again pushed it back for various reasons. And now it's a release date in early October, which again it's and this started a weird thing over the past few days, where especially yesterday, as I was kind of trying to find energy to do anything really, I started to think about, okay, maybe really what I should be doing is just release GB Rover right now, or basically on the date I originally set out, which was August 13th. And I was kind of debating with myself, okay, why am I suddenly feeling like I have to do it this way? And what are the reasons for that? Is there a real substantial reason for me to basically throw away the planning I had for the last few months, at least since May? To and roll everything back, despite the fact that basically the way I plan the rest out would mean having to really rush a bunch of stuff, because August 13th is in 2.5 weeks. So it was and I was thinking, and yesterday I sat down and like wrote down, okay, this is the stuff that supposed I want to do the like release on August 13th. This is what I would still like to do within the game, and like aside from all the other marketing stuff and all that. And it wasn't all that much, and I was thinking, yeah, okay, this could work, but also kind of relying on the fact that, for example, I get my second vaccine shot next Monday, so there's a high possibility that I might not be able to do like anything really for most of the next week. And if you only have 2.5 weeks until your game is released and there's still work left to do, and there is a chance that you're losing a whole week, you only have 10 days left. And that's like, you're suddenly putting a lot of pressure on yourself to do like everything right, where you previously had like a lot of time, and that's like, it was a really like difficult thing for me to debate with myself, like, what is it that I want to do here? What's the reason why I want to release the game now and not wait and not try and push the release further back and like work with that? And yeah, it was like a weird thing. And yesterday I like ended on the point, okay, tomorrow afternoon, you're going to announce that you'll release it on April 13th. April 13th, that's my birthday. August 13th. And then today, so this morning I had an appointment at the welfare office because I receive welfare in Germany, which is like the main reason why I'm able to make games basically all the time, because my bills are being paid by the German government, so to speak. It's not a good welfare system by any means. Like, it's very like restrictive and dehumanizing, and basically if I don't do the things that like my like advisors and so on would like me to do, there's like basically a sanctioning system behind it, and there's like risk of like basically losing at least parts of the money that they give you, which would make things incredibly rough because the money they give you is already basically barely enough to get by. So anyway, so I had an appointment there because for the last half year or so, a bit more than half of a year, I was deemed not fit for work because of my mental health issues, and this was basically an appointment for a reassessment of that. And to no one's surprise, I was deemed to be fit for work now, which is, I was kind of expecting that because, like, actually things are much better now. So it's not that, like, there isn't really, I can't make a case that no, I'm not able to do that, because the fact that I was able to make a video game over the past, like, 7 to 8 months is kind of like proof that, yeah, I can work. I just would like to do, like, the work that I would like to do and not what they want me to do. But anyway, that's like a bit of a like difficult situation for me because I would very much like to not get welfare anymore, and I would very much like for the reason there, like, that I won't get welfare anymore would be that, like, hey, I'm making video games and I make enough money with that. Not speaking about getting rich, only make enough money that you don't have to get welfare anymore. Or at least less welfare, maybe. Like, but take a small step, maybe. But that's kind of like the thoughts that I had, and like when I was done with that appointment, where like I had to talk to like a doctor who was like already retired and is still doing this kind of work for some reason, and like he kept asking me about like, oh yeah, but like making video games, that's a rough market to find a job in. And I was like there was always coming back to that point. I was incredibly frustrated with that, because that's no one's business, really. At least in my eyes, but anyway. and when I got out, I was thinking, you know what, like at least partially my so let's put it this way. I think there are like two reasons why I felt that maybe I should release GB Rover earlier than intended. The first one was feeling like an internal pressure for myself because the welfare office might want more stuff from me because of COVID and that like not fit for work thing that I had for a while. I had a fairly quiet like 18 months, like because there wasn't really much that they could do. Like a lot of stuff like kind of was like paused and all that. So I kind of had like some quiet time, but like knowing that okay, now things might start up again and might be harder to keep working and keep going the way I like was doing it until like in the last 18 months or so would be more rough. So there's like a feeling of pressure, and it's a similar kind of pressure I had back when I had like Splinter Zone, where I felt like I need to release this game as soon as I can, because only then can I make money and can kind of prove to them that this is something that I'm doing and that they should leave me alone at least. Which doesn't work that way. And I think like a part of me like to say, okay, I'm going to release GB Rover in August, because theoretically I can do that. The game is fully playable and it's fine, really. But at the same time, this is like to some degree me skipping a step in the process to some degree, but I'll talk to it later. The second reason, just to finish this off, the second reason why I maybe felt like I want to release GB Rover earlier than intended was because last weekend I got a very interesting idea for a like possible future next game, and I got very like I spent a lot of time thinking about that over the past weekend, like writing out ideas. I even bought a whole new notebook for it. I haven't written anything in it, by the way, but I bought one because I had so much stuff in my mind about what I would like to do with that idea and how I could build it, and like despite the fact that like the idea itself is probably not feasible for one person development effort, but that's completely by the wayside. And so yeah, you're like, this is the other reason that you suddenly get this idea, and this is probably also like ADHD related. Okay, you've been working on this one game for this amount of time, and there isn't a lot of like new exciting stuff happening because you know what this game is going to be, and most of it exists already. And over there in the distance, there's this new exciting idea that like has limitless potential because it doesn't exist. It absolutely doesn't exist. So it can be whatever you imagine it to be, and that's very exciting and very motivating to start working on that. But I can't start working on this until GB Rover is released. So you have two sources of pressure here. One is like kind of like not really external pressure, but like an external situation that creates like personal pressure from me. And then you have this new exciting idea thing that you would like to follow. And I think that's like those are like the main reasons why I did that. And the questions I needed to answer for myself is, are these things reason enough to skip like a bunch of steps that I said to myself that I won't skip this time around? And I don't think that I have those reasons are good enough, to be honest. So I'm not going to release GB Rover on August 13th. GB Rover will be released like early to mid-October. Not going to say the exact date because this is also like a marketing thing, you know. You can like announcing the release date is something that you can use as a reason to like do another like big push on social media and stuff, and I would like to use it for that and not just like offhandedly mention it and that's it then. But roughly again early to mid-October most likely, and this like again gives me like a reason also to just a tiny bit talk about like what this all means, because one thing that I realized after I did Splinter Zone and like after like also like thinking about like how I approached making Splinter Zone and the expectations I put onto that game, like from a personal perspective, and what this game was supposed to do in terms of like lifting me out of this like welfare hole that I'm in, because like getting this stuff is incredibly like is basically misery generator for me. Like every time I get a letter from the welfare office, I have to spend at least a few hours like trying to like deal with the fact that yes, I'm still getting welfare because it's fucking annoying to get it. And it's again, there's like the way you're being treated there is incredibly degrading. Like you're already in a tough situation because like a bunch of your life decisions that you made didn't pan out that you wanted to make, like in at least in my situation, and now you're in a situation where like suddenly you don't find a job. Like believe me, I tried. I didn't find some, and those that I would get are those that I definitely don't want to do. That's also a point. And so that was like Splinter Zone's purpose, completely disregarding the fact that it's completely, and it was back then, and like looking back at it, like it was pretty clear that it would never be that kind of game. Like to understand that there isn't like, it's incredibly unlikely that when you're making games that you'll make one game that will earn you enough that you will never have to work ever again. This happens to people, but not to most people. So approaching it with that mindset is basically, okay, you're setting yourself up for being disappointed in some way. And what I wanted to do now with this, for me, basically, this is my second attempt at basically starting this process, because like it's been 4 years since like Splinter Zone came out, and I haven't really done a lot because of reasons. So for me it's like basically, okay, I'm trying this again now, so let's this time try and do this process right, and also understand it as a process, and try to not as much try to like skip steps in that process because you really want to achieve the goal that is supposed to be at the end of it. So, and again, the goal at the end of it is earn enough money with making and selling video games so that you don't have to get welfare anymore. That's the goal. For that to work, I need to make and sell video games, learn from it, get more experience, and get better at it with each game that I'm making, and also kind of build a base of stuff that is supposed to generate income in some way. Even if it's a little bit at the beginning, it's still something that you can slowly build yourself up. That's at least like, again, the idea process behind it. It might not work at all. Like I might make 10 games and basically none of them make any money. It could happen. Who knows? But for find that out, you have to get into that process and have to like work on that and like keep going and keep like trying to take step after step. If you think you can skip one of these steps, like most likely you will fail, and that's like one of the things where like I have to be really careful not to get too impatient with things, not to think. Because that's also like one of these things. I know what GB Rover is. And I know how nice it feels to play. And if you're like watching the streams, you can like see more of like what the game is. And it's I would very much for more people to play it, because I think a lot of people would enjoy it, but at the same time, that's not a reason to just throw it out there without much like preparation about how you would like approach the throwing it out there, basically. So that's the like overall like rambling thought process behind it. And so I said, like, I kind of like disregarded all the thoughts that I had like over the past 2 days, also going to shelf the game ideas. The interesting part is the longer I thought about the idea that got me really excited over the weekend, the more I realized that it's practically impossible for me to justify working on a project like this, because it would probably, like, for one person, it would probably take at least 2 to 3 years, like at least, maybe longer, and I don't have the resources and I don't have the time for that. So that's completely impossible. It's still a cool idea, but it basically now gets on the pile of other cool bigger game ideas that I would maybe do if I had a few more friends to collaborate with, like in that regard. So these things exist. And the good thing is that like these ideas and these concepts don't go away, so I can still go back to them, and that's like not like, it's also not wasted work to have these ideas and then shelf some of them, because who knows, maybe I can pick smaller elements out of these ideas and put them in the thing that I had planned. And yeah, so There's like a lot of like other stuff that I've been thinking about, like, okay, about like what kind of games is it would like actually like kind of viable approaches to making commercial games when you work on your own, because there's like factor about like time and like how much interest is in these kinds of games and all that kind of stuff about like, okay, how could you make this efficiently while still also kind of trying to be creative about the process, and not just think about games as strictly as products that need to exist, because that's not why and how I make games. I start making games or like working on like picking games for larger projects because I have an idea of what I want to make, not because I look at statistics and see, oh, this genre is very popular, because then I wouldn't be making platformers, because if you're making platformers and trying to sell them on Steam and don't have like a huge marketing budget behind it, you're basically doing this stuff in hard mode. I found out over the last week, yet I'm still making platformers because I like making them, and it's like I have a workflow established and a lot of other things established that enable me to like make these things relatively quickly at this point. Again, GB Rover was kind of done after 4 months. Like the rest of the work that I did since then was additional polish, like making things a bit nicer over the time. But I could make games like this, which would be fine within like a few months, and that's a good workflow. If I were to say, okay, I'm making a 4X strategy game on my own, that would probably not be a wise idea, despite the fact that like statistic wise 4X games are incredibly popular, it seems. I have no idea if this is true for 4X games made by singular people, like within, and not being projects that are kind of forever projects, because again, I'm not the kind of person who's able to like say, okay, I'm going to work the next 10 years of my life on this one game, because I would probably fall apart mentally if I were to do that. Anyway, that's what I did last week. Lots of thinking again, and this is like also the reason why it took like 2 days for me to like do this, because I had no idea what to talk about, and no idea, okay, what am I doing this week, really, because I like no ideas. Anyways, this is what I want to do this week. I want to do more endless attack stages, mostly like creating more templates for these stages, not really building the levels. It's more like, okay, just building the structures out and then building the stages later. Probably again doing at least one live stream maybe this weekend. I have to think about like doing these live streams during the weekend. Maybe I'll pick a weekday instead, so that the weekend is actually maybe time for a day off or two, because I really need to do that. I want to rework the title screen. No idea if I get into that for this week. But I want to at least start with it, because right now the title screen is something I threw together within, I think, like 20 minutes in total, like back in late February or so. And I kind of want to try and make something that looks a bit... I mean, it looks okay, but I would like to make something that looks a bit cooler. And in that process also not completely rework the main menu or like the whole menu system, but make the upper layer of the main menu look a bit nicer and like be a bit more be a bit more part of the title screen. Right now, when you start up GB Rover, you have the title screen, then you press a button, and then this huge box appears and completely occludes the title screen, and there's the menu on the side, and it looks very... Again, it works, but it doesn't look nice. And I think I can make it look nice and still make it work. And basically put you only see a large box with text on the side. Basically start that once you click into the options menu, because you need a lot of space for rebinding controls and all that. I don't think that I can avoid the big box menu in that regard, but I can at least hide it away one step further, into the back. That's the thing. While I'm reworking the menu, I have a different idea for a slightly different system in mind. I'm probably also going to apply that kind of system to the Cracktro, because right now there are two more options that I would like to add to the Cracktro, but I can't because the space that I have on the screen and the way the menu is built right now is too small. And I can't add it because it would break the text box or scroll off the screen, and I need to rework it so that I can add more options. And while I'm already rebuilding the main menu with a different system that takes off less space, why not apply the same principle to the Cracktro so that I can add two more options? One being the auto fire option, which right now is in the options menu itself, putting it into the Cracktro screen because that's where it should belong. And I also would like to add a life system to GB Rover, which by default is deactivated, so there are no lives. But for people who really would like to go game over in a video game, I want to add a life system. And kind of also build it in such a way that, okay, if you go game over, your save gets deleted. So, because if you already want to play with lives and go through all of that frustration, okay, here you don't get continuous, because otherwise you might just play it normally, right? That's kind of the idea. So also again to also give people who would like to play the game with more difficulty that they can do it. You can even will probably also be able to set your life count to 0 and only have one life and try to play it in one sitting or whatever. So yeah, that's what I have planned for this week. I have to see how everything goes. Again, next week might be a bit weird because I get my vaccine shot on Monday, and then who knows how long I'll be out because of dealing with vaccination side effects. From what I've heard, my brother got the same type of vaccine back in March or whatever, and after his second shot he was out for a week roughly, or at least a few days, so I'll have to see how it goes. And again, this is better reason to have the release date a bit further away, because that's not a problem. I don't have to push myself when I might have fever or whatever to keep working on this, because that's so yeah, that's that. And yeah, so if you want to know more about GB Rover's development and want to see what else I'm doing and all that, you can follow me on Twitter at Mokograd. This is where I post all the development updates and all that kind of stuff and announcements. You can also subscribe to my email newsletter, which is again for larger updates, and it's more infrequent, but like if something bigger happens, you'll get an email for that. And also you obviously can subscribe to this YouTube channel if you want to know when like these kinds of videos go up, or the stream archives if you missed the streams, and all that. Also streaming announcements will be posted on Twitter, so if you want to miss those and also want to find where these streams are happening and all that, you can find those over on Twitter as well. And obviously the most important part, though, at least right now, because the game isn't out yet, please wishlist GB Rover on Steam. That would be very, very cool and mean a lot to me. And wishlisting gives you a lot of things. For example, you'll get notified when the game is out. You can also follow GB Rover on Steam, which makes it more likely that you see when an update happens. Well, like when I do a news post there, I'm also trying to do streams to GB Rover's Steam page, and if you follow the game there, you'll get an announcement that a stream is happening. I'm still figuring out how I can make it so that the stream appears on the game's Steam page. I was trying to do this last weekend. It didn't work, but I'll look into it, because I think it's still an interesting idea. But if you want to get news this way and be sure that you for example, don't miss the release date, because maybe sometimes Steam just doesn't tell you when a game on your wish list is suddenly available. You can also follow the game. That would be great as well. But wishlisting is definitely also very nice and important in that regard. And yeah, that's it. Sorry for it being a long one. Got rambly about process and all that, but yeah, that's kind of that's what you do when you have to go through making a video game on your own with the material requirements of living in capitalism or whatever. So that's always fun. Anyway, thanks very much for watching. Again, wishlist GB Rover and all that fun stuff, and I'll see you next time. Bye.